Okay, so we're gonna continue with the traversing array problem. Now we're gonna look at finding a min and finding a max. Both these methods will accept a number array as a parameter, and both of them will return an integer. The first one returns the minimum value, the second one returns the maximum value. And I think one I will traverse through the indices first, and the second one I'll traverse through the values, so we can get an idea of how those both work, or how they work separately, differently. Okay, so we'll jump back in here. We have this number array that's being randomly generated. I could take this print statement out, or we could leave it in just to check that what's happening is working. Maybe I could put it back here, but since I already have the loop running there, I'll just leave it there for now. Okay, and then find minimum is going to return an integer. The minimum equals find min, and we're going to send it this number array. And we'll come down below and define that method. I'm going to make things a little bigger, easier to see. Public static integer find min. It's accepting an integer array as a parameter. Let's just call it, could just call it array here. And then it wants us to return something. So I'm going to just add some white space so I can move this up and make it easier to see. And we need to return a value here, so I'll just return 0. So I'm just going to comment in here what this method does. Find min method will traverse through the array using indices and return the minimum value. Okay, so we just need a loop for integer I, start at 0, and you might think, oh, we don't know how far to go, but we can go up to the array.size, array.length. So again, I think we want strictly less than array.length. And we need I++, and again, with the arrays, we don't need the parentheses to open and close the length method. Okay, and then let's see what we got. So open up this loop. What are we doing here? So we need to find a min. So I might go back and look at some logic for how we're going to do that. Generally, when you want to find a minimum value for something, you basically usually set the minimum value equal to the first value, then you loop through the values. Loop through, let's say, the array, and let's see, if the minimum is bigger than or equal to the value, then replace the min. And maybe this isn't, it wouldn't necessarily be in an array, so I could say here, loop through the values. If the minimum is bigger than the next value that you get, then the minimum should be replaced with that value. And after you've gone through all the values, minimum will then contain the smallest value. So I need to go back here. Before I go into this loop, I can say integer minimum equals array. doesn't matter. I just set it equal to array bracket 0. And so in theory, you might think I could start this at I equals 1 because, you know, we've already put min equal to the 0th element. The problem with that is our array could actually only have one element in it, in which case we would get an out of bound. But if we go ahead and run it starting at 0 again, because I'm using this greater than or equal to value, it'll just replace it. We could also just do a greater than there as well. Either one will work. Okay, so go back over to Eclipse. Okay, I'm back. I thought I'd show you my mask. All right, taking that off. I just had visitors. Okay, so where are we? We're setting min equal to the first element in the array, which is an index 0, and then we're going to say if the min is greater than array I, so that would mean that array I is smaller, then min equals array I. And the nice thing about randomly generating this array that we set up was that this can test it with different arrays. Each time we run the program, we'll get a different array and a different minimum value, and hopefully it works. All right, let's try it. Cancel. Got an error. What? Oh, find mind. That's good. Find min. Okay. Oh, I guess I probably should print the minimum. So if I can want to test it, I have to see what that minimum is. And just so we know that it's not the last element in the list, but actually the minimum. Say, okay, the minimum is minimum. All right, run it. So that list only had one element, so we know it works with a single element list. That list had a bunch of elements, and 16 was the minimum of those elements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that had 9, almost the full size. This list had 3, found the minimum fine. Okay, it seems to be working, so great. I'm tempted to put a print list in method to traverse the array and manually print them out, like in an array format. Let's do that real quickly. So right here we'll call, actually before that, let's call a method print array. I don't like to use the word print in my method name, so I'll just output array. I'll put it above the minimum. Writing a method that will output the array. Public static void. To tell it what kind of object that is. That's an integer array. And again, let's traverse through using the indices. So we will first have a print statement that prints brace. Let's follow it with the first element in the array. We know there's at least one because our array was between size 1 and 10. And then we'll say, oops, Now I need to be a little bit careful, so we want to say while for, let's see, if, let's do integer I equals 1, and we'll say while I is strictly less than array.length, and we'll print a comma and a space. So this is kind of a fence post problem, and then plus array bracket I. So if the length is 1, this won't run at all. If the length is 2, we'll print the 0th element, then we'll print the first element, comma, space, the 0, comma, and the space in the first index of the list. And then it will continue on doing that until we get to the last element in the list. And then after that last element in the list, let's have a print line statement where we print the closing bracket. Oh, and I need to, so there's a problem here, is that it will, I is going to always be 1 in this loop, so it will never advance. So we would run into an infinite loop. I'll just show you that so you can see it. Oh, and you see, you can't even see what printed. It printed so fast, and now it's still running. So we just want to stop it. So it doesn't it doesn't do what we wanted it to do, but it's not crashing yet. It probably would crash when it runs out of memory. So we need to increase I here. In a for loop, that would automatically increase, but never said to increase it. Okay, and then I want to take out the original print statement, which I had in here. And then I just want to run it again and see if it's working. Okay, so now I have my list printed as or my array printed as an array, and then it's finding the minimum value. Run it again, same thing, run it again, same thing. I'm tempted to pause and come back with the next installment. But I will scroll down so you can see output array if you want to stop there. And min, find min if you want to see that. There they are. And then we'll go back up, delete that line out of there, and there's main with the generate array.